We are back here in the final segment of our program with Brian Jones and Guilherme Bomocel. I think I got the name right, out of Brazil. And in this segment, we are going to continue speaking about cryptocurrency. You are big in that as an entrepreneur in Brazil, aren't you?
Yeah, I support the cryptocurrency, but regarding my entrepreneur side is not related to cryptocurrency. It's related to innovating the financial sector with control, with transparency, through an automated website.
And you are associated with an accounting firm?
Yeah, I have an accounting firm. It's another business that I have.
You have an accounting firm?
Yeah.
You've been very busy in Brazil.
Yeah, and I came here to make business and to show how the platform can add value to the financial sector here also.
Mm-hmm. And how can it add value? Very succinctly.
If you think that all the Bahamians that work in the financial sector, they work a lot, they produce a lot of documents, and they need to file a lot of documents on the regulatory authorities and everything. However, the client on the other side didn't know that there are so much work to do and so much paperwork that is done here and delivered here. So Rupee control all the deliverables from a company or for a fund, and show to the client the main word that you can pick up for our discussion today is transparency. So Rupee gives transparency to both sides, to the financial sector and to the client, showing to the client how much work and how much deliverables his company has with the authorities.
And that's very useful actually in the cryptocurrency space for controlling, right? Because cryptocurrency is a fledgling industry. It doesn't have the more, let's just say, evolved infrastructure that you have in traditional financial services today. So for example, if we wanted to get pricing for a portfolio of securities in a fund, the ideal source for that is Bloomberg, right? Whereas in the cryptocurrency space, the price really depends on which exchange you're buying on. And because the market is not fully matured yet, there's often very large discrepancies between prices on different exchanges, right? So pricing your portfolio of securities is not a very straightforward thing. So using technologies such as Rupee, it helps to control that, right? It helps you to have a customized set of pricing sources that you can build into an Excel spreadsheet, and it's automatically uploaded into Rupee to track the pricing.
We in the Bahamas, we have to face what we commonly call 21st century realities.
Yes.
Right? And we're really behind the 8 ball, aren't we?
So I'm excited though about the future, and if you think about, just as an analogy, what happened in Africa with the Industrial Revolution and the fact that they pretty much got overlooked and to a large extent, what they were able to do in recent years with new mobile technology is leapfrog certain technologies that in fact just didn't come their way, right? So they're in many parts of Africa, they've completely bypassed landlines. Some parts of Africa have never had landlines installed, but now they have mobile technology, right? So they've completely evolved to that. So let's just fast forward in that same scenario. If you look at the way they're doing business now in Africa, it's all peer-to-peer transactions, right? If you look at what they did in Kenya, the M-Pesa model, it works almost just like Bitcoin, except you have a centralized intermediary. You have the telecoms company, right? But they're able to make peer-to-peer payments through their mobile phones, right? And it's because they had to do this out of necessity. There was no banking in certain regions, right? So they evolved to do mobile banking. So here it is now in the Bahamas. Our livelihood, our status quo is now under threat and being forced to change. We now have to leapfrog, right? So this is why when we started off the conversation, I was saying, well, you know, we can't look at around what people are doing right now. We have to think, well, where we want to be in 3 to 5 years and build that now so that we're not perpetually in catch-up mode as we've always been, and we're much more proactive in our approach.
We are catching up right now in financial services.
We are.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And we ought to be ahead of the curve.
Yes, and I think, you know, now that we've seen some of our competitors make concrete moves in this space, we can look at what they've done and try to outdo them, quite frankly, right? To do it much better than they're attempting to.
But this calls for capacity building
It does.
in financial services. It calls for capacity building in legal services, even at the level of the political directorate. For the country to come up to speed.
Absolutely.
And how does that happen?
Right. So I've always said that, you know, we need to open up our borders to a much larger extent than we have before in past times. Primarily with respect to attracting talent. I mean, I hear you on the radio all the time. You and Mr. Eneas had a commentary the other day talking about the U.S.'s immigration policy and Canada in particular. Canada in particular is what you were discussing. That if you're a qualified individual with no criminal background and you have credentials, they invite you to come to their country, right? We should be doing the same. We need to focus on particular sectors. So we have certain legislation that's geared towards that, right? The commercial enterprises bill that came out last year, where if you make a certain investment in the jurisdiction, you get 3 work permits for your top executives, and then you have a training plan and so on and so forth. So I think that's one step in the right direction. I mentioned that actually to a foreign client who's a set of Brazilians who are looking to move here to set up a cryptocurrency fund, and they want to set up a management company to manage this fund as well and live in the Bahamas, right? So that piece of legislation works very well for them because they're going to set the company up, they'll get their work permits, and it should be a very smooth process.
The only thing Bahamians
Right.
say, though, is that the amount investing in the country was too low. That
Sure.
it should be a little higher than $1 million.
Which you know is a fair point. But what I say is that that's not enough. That piece of legislation, in and of itself, regardless of the amount required to be invested, is not enough. We need an overarching immigration program that is inviting to individuals who want to come here and do business, right? Entrepreneurs setting up shop. So for example, let's look at the initiative in Freeport, right? The tech hub that is being designed there. It's an amazing idea. The political will is clearly there, right? However, the infrastructure is not, right? We do not have the capacity to sustain a tech hub as it is today.
So we have to build the capacity.
We do have to build this
and
capacity.
How do we
it
go
starts
about
with the people.
building capacity?
It starts with the people. Well, first and foremost, we have to have a clear legislative framework. This is something I was alluding to earlier when I mentioned that you do already have people coming here and inquiring, and they want to set up the business. But the level of uncertainty as it relates to how business is done is not good. And in fact, we know the ease of doing business in this country, well, it's just not easy. Let's put it that way. I was at a meetup last night for blockchain and cryptocurrency, and there was a Canadian blockchain consultant on the panel with me. And you know, he made the comment, he spoke to somebody on the beach, on Cabbage Beach, selling drinks or whatever it was, and he told them it took them 2 years to get their business license, right, to sell drinks on the beach. Now, you know, there could be some issues there, but no matter what, it shouldn't take that long. And I think, Guilherme, you could attest to the ease of doing business as it relates to Brazil, right, and the fact that that has to be improved in order to attract more clients.
Yeah, I agree with Brian. The way is it's not only to catch up, it's to innovate. To innovate, I think, is the way that Bahamas can be a better place to invest, to provide wealth for its own people, and more, and attract people from other countries without this without this minimum requirement to open a company here, it is something that Canada is doing, Australia is doing to attract good talents. So that's what I think Bahamas can do to innovate, to not be a catch-up country.
Not in a catch-up mode.
Not a catch-up.
That's right, because you know, if you have a certain minimum criteria for the individual that they must meet in order to come, but not necessarily invest money up front, when they come here, they're going to be able to spend time, right, enjoy the environment, and at the same time identify gaps, identify problems that we have, and identify the solutions and bring those solutions. You know, we're now forcing these entrepreneurs to come up with the idea and build out their whole business plan and business model before they even arrive to the Bahamas, right? And force them to invest a minimum amount, which may not even be relevant for their business model, right? If we want to see the economy actually flourish, we just need more people. We need more people that have international skills. If we want to be a global financial center or a hub of any kind, whether it's technology or financial related, we need more people that speak more languages, right? As you know, for me, I mean, that has been my main driver, right? I've always wanted to pursue languages, and I found that the Spanish and the Portuguese, that's what opened up doors for me. I feel as though had I not known how to speak these languages and learned them and been able to engage on the international scale, I wouldn't have had the career path that I've had. Whereas, so I can see the benefit of taking on a multinational mindset, right? So whether that's within the Bahamas and Bahamians, of course, we need to develop ourselves, right? We need more developers, technology developers, right? Computer programmers here, to write the code, right? For the software that we need to implement in all of the financial institutions.
We
right?
need to develop skills.
We need to develop these skills, so fundamental skills, right? Programming skills and so on. And in fact, you know, if we want to, again, fast forward this thing to the future, a lot of the skills that we currently have today are going to become completely irrelevant in the future. Cognitive tasks that are routine are going to be replaced by artificial intelligence, okay? Only cognitive tasks that have a manual element are going to be retained by individuals, okay? And so this is something that is going to be a detriment to the economy if we don't retool ourselves and re-engineer ourselves. We have to, they say, you know, to survive in this new normal, in the new future we're facing, the most important skill is going to be able, is to be able to learn, unlearn, and relearn new skills.
Brian Jones, thank you very much. Mr. Bomosel, thank you so very much for being here today.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
I hope you enjoy the rest of your stay in the Bahamas.
Yeah.
And, you know, Brian is my nephew, all right? And so my mother and his grandmother is going to be very proud of him.
Yeah,
the amount of material that he has produced on this show today, we can use for a long time to come. Thank you so very much for being here.
I'm definitely happy to come back again.
Yes, we would want to, you know, my colleague Godfrey Enos would be very disappointed not being here today. But,
in fact, I was looking forward to having him on the set, so we'll have to make sure we reschedule.
Absolutely. Thank you so very much. Thank you. Thank you for watching and listening to our program. Good evening, everyone.